reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? A very happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. It is Pushing the Limits on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network. And we're all over the place. On the FMAM dial, on TikTok, on Twitch, of course, the YouTube Super Chat, where your questions and comments will be heard. It's good to see all of you out there. On a very busy news day, and we have some very special guests for you. Coming up in hour number 2, he's a former MSNBC contributor, a wonderful podcast, The Left Hook Substack. Wajahad Ali will be joining us in hour number 2. Always fun catching up with Wajahad. He is the best. And he'll be joining us, as I mentioned, in hour number 2. A lot to get to today, including Donald Trump once again asking for 2 weeks when it comes to Vladimir Putin. We will get to that. Elon Musk is now calling out Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. We have the audio to prove that. And of course, Donald Trump talking about the economy and how wonderful he claims it is, and Caroline Leavitt lying on Fox News again. I know that might shock some of you. So a lot to get to, a lot to talk about today. And today, of course, to my right, co-hosting with me is Leonard Cardinal, of course, decades-long former police officer and lieutenant out here in North Las Vegas. And it's always a pleasure seeing Leonard in studio on a Wednesday. Leonard, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Good to see you, Brian. A lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and I'm glad you're here. So Donald Trump held one of his press conferences, for lack of a better term.
If you can call it that.
Did a little bit of a Q&A. And in this Q&A, Donald Trump was asked about Vladimir Putin and these airstrikes and more innocent people being murdered on a daily basis when Donald Trump claims that Vladimir Putin wants peace. And now Trump all of a sudden is getting a little bit frustrated with it, right? He's getting a little upset. He's getting a little frustrated. And he was asked at the press conference earlier today, you know, what do you make of the fact that Putin is doing these things and saying these things and killing innocent people? And this was Donald Trump's response, asking for 2 weeks again. Listen to this.
Mr. President, on Russia. Mr. President, on Russia. On Russia, Mr. President.
Please.
Do you believe the Russians are being disrespectful when they say that your criticisms of Putin are simply an emotional response? And do you still believe that Putin actually wants to end the war?
I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we're going to find out very soon. We're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not. And if he is, we'll respond a little bit differently, but it'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We have Mr. Witkoff is here, is doing a phenomenal job, is dealing with them very strongly right now. They seem to want to do something, but until the document is signed, I can't tell you. Nobody can. I can say this. That I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now, where people were killed in the middle of what you would call a negotiation. I'm very disappointed by that. Very, very disappointed. Yeah, please.
He's very disappointed. It's only, it's interesting, Leonard, because remember when he said that health care plan was going to come, the replacement plan for Obamacare? Just give me a couple weeks. Then he said he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Then he just had a draft of ideas.
Yeah, he wants another 2 weeks. And I guess he's done now praising Putin and what a wonderful person he is. Well, I have a good relationship with him, so I don't know why he keeps doing this
Well, he's
stuff.
starting to realize what we all knew.
Right.
We all knew that a strong man, a dictator who's taking over other countries, wasn't going to respond to, well, we've always been friends,
Right.
and give me a couple of weeks. I was thinking to call my mortgage company and see if they would go for that. And say, hey, about 2 weeks. I don't have it right now.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's the same thing over and over and over again. I think a lot of people are starting to get tired of at least this situation when it comes to the war in Ukraine, where it doesn't appear as though Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin and Zelensky are any closer to making some sort of agreement, where Trump says, well, we're trying, and I'm very upset at Putin. I'm very upset. It's kind of like a kindergartner taking an extra cookie in class. But you see, we're not talking about that. Or a young child that maybe wants some candy and eats candy before dinner. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about thousands and thousands of innocent people getting murdered, innocent women, innocent children, troops on both sides. But Donald Trump acts like it's a little child. Well, you know what? I'm very upset with him. Oh, well, really? Well, what are you going to do about it? Oh, I'm not going to tell you. Maybe he'll send him some more COVID test kits.
Putin sent him some new demands, you know, and he said he doesn't want anybody from NATO moving any further east ever.
Yeah.
And he said that he doesn't want certain nations joining NATO. He wants to keep everything he stole. And so that's, to me, I've negotiated many contracts as a union president. To me, that's saying, you know, I don't want to make a deal.
Yeah. The new term for Donald Trump, or I guess a new nickname, is now Taco Man. Yeah. Explain that. What do you think about the taco?
Taco means Trump always chickens out.
Right.
They say they're using it on Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they were saying?
Well, yeah, he lowers the tariffs when China doesn't give in. Yeah.
So they're I guess they're using that. So the imbalance of him saying there's going to be tariffs, and then all of a sudden the stock market tanks for a few days and then recovers. They say that it should have a more even balance because now the people on Wall Street are using the taco expression. So when he says, I'm going to do 150 billion% tariffs,
right,
that they're starting to realize that maybe we shouldn't sell off right away,
right,
and we should stabilize, because he probably doesn't mean it.
No, of course not.
He backed down on China, but he says he didn't back. He even called himself he said 145%. When I thought about it, even to me, that sounded like too much.
Yeah,
like,
listen,
but you brought it up.
It's extremely embarrassing from the standpoint of the way he treats evil, murderous dictators better than our own politicians here in the United States of America. It's despicable. It's disgusting. He's looking like the imbecile and the fool that he was, and he is. Imagine if this was Joe Biden saying that I would end the war in 24 hours, and then we're almost 4 months into his administration, and we're no closer to a deal now than ever, and Putin continues to kill innocent people.
Well, North Korea's mad at Trump. Iran is confused,
right,
because they want to know what they're negotiating, because he says he won't do it in accordance with how Obama made a deal with Iran to stop making the enriched plutonium, and only enough just for their power for their citizens, but not long. It's a long process, and so the longer you enrich it, the more powerful it becomes.
Right.
And they had inspectors in there under Obama, and they were allowed to go. And he said that he's not offering anything; that he just wants them to comply.
Yeah, it just
that's not
make
negotiating.
No, he's not a negotiator. And all these idiots on the far right that say, oh, you know, the art of the deal. He's the art of the taco. So I wanted to get into this because I didn't think it would take very long for Elon Musk to turn on Donald Trump.
Ooh, he's mad.
And Elon Musk is now saying he's very disappointed with this massive spending bill. And as we know, this big, beautiful bill, which might not pass the Senate, but this big, beautiful bill that would raise the debt ceiling to $5 to $6 trillion in the course of the next 12 to 24 months, if passed. And all of a sudden, Elon Musk is saying, no, I'm not okay with this big, beautiful bill. Have a listen to what Elon Musk had to say about this.
So, you know, I was like disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, like, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
Yeah, I think that's the way Elon Musk treats the women in his life too. If they're big, they can't be beautiful, right? That's Elon Musk for you. But in all seriousness, I hate to say this, but I actually agree with Elon Musk. He's right on this.
Well, he's mad because he ruined his reputation. He's got his approval rating was, I saw it last night on CNN, was it like negative 86 or something like that? Mm-hmm. And so he ruined his reputation. His companies have tanked because he's not spending enough time and all that to try to cut back and save some money on Doge and all of that. And he's got nothing to show for it, except for Trump is going to go ahead and wipe out what he saved, which was about 175 billion. He says 2 trillion, but no one can find what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, so bad deal for him all the way around.
Well, again, it didn't take 6 months. It took like 3 for Elon Musk to step aside. I thought it would take somewhere around 6 months. Marco Rubio's on the clock now. I'm going to give it another year or so, and I think Marco Rubio won't be in the same spot. But we'll have to wait and see on that, because Marco Rubio is really willing to suck up to Donald Trump, because I think Rubio has aspirations of, again, running for
They
president of
just
the United
froze all
States.
visa applications.
Yeah, we'll get to
in
that.
pretty much every country.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk to you about that. We'll definitely get to that. But Caroline the Liar Levette, who I've said on this show plenty of times, the fake Christian that she is, and I just think she's a phony and a despicable human being. So the blonde bimbo bitch, which I'm just going to call her what it is, that's exactly what she is. She's a despicable human being, just like a Laura Ingraham, who puts that fake cross around her neck. Oh, I'm a good, wholesome Christian. No, you're not. You married the Crypt Keeper. Congratulations on that one. And you lie for Donald Trump, the other Crypt Keeper, on a daily basis. Listen, Caroline Levette, I'm just going to say this, okay? Caroline Levette would certainly do a twirl for Donald Trump, and I'm sure she would offer Donald Trump sexual favors if Trump threatened her job. She's that kind of person. I really believe that's who Caroline Levette is. I think she's despicable in every sense of the word. And she made an appearance on Sean Hannity's show yesterday, because, of course, that's where they all go to. The Stephen Millers of the world, the Caroline Levettes of the world, and those in Donald Trump's administration. They go to where it's safe. It'll be a Newsmax or Fox News. That's where Pam Bondi lives, by the way. I don't know how she has time to work. It appears as though Caroline Levette and Pam Bondi are on Fox News more than some of the anchors on Fox News are on Fox News. But listen to what Caroline Levette had to say about the economy and the history of the economy. Have a listen to this.
We had an economy that was left in the dust, but again, thanks to President Trump's pro-growth policies. And now we have the one big, beautiful bill on its way to his desk. It's in the Senate now, being marked up and amended so it can go back to the House and then to the president ultimately for signature this summer. So
So it is interesting, isn't it, that I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, Leonard, the economy that Donald Trump took over after Barack Obama left office, from what I recall, was a pretty strong economy. And correct me if I'm wrong, but back in January of 2021, it seemed to be in the toilet, and it seems to be a lot better, or seemed to be a lot better, in January of 2025. Am I wrong?
Well, they're not economic facts. The fact is the GDP growth is down and only expected to be 0.1 to 0.2% as we move along. Also, yeah, he might have lowered prices of a couple of things, but interest rates going back up to an all-time high. Houses, I don't know if you saw the article, but in Las Vegas, they're saying the housing is going back up, even though they promised it was going to go down and be more affordable. And so when you look at the economy, more people are using their credit cards than ever. More people are missing payments than ever, and more people are using their savings more than ever. That is not a good, solid economy.
And Caroline Levette, once again, lying. And I go back to Democrats versus Republicans when it comes to just the presidencies in history. And you look at what Bill Clinton did, and he left the economy, and he left us with a surplus, and he was able to reach across the other side of the aisle. You can talk about his personal life all you want to, but as far as being fiscal responsible, there was nobody better in my lifetime than Bill Clinton. And then George W. Bush takes over, and a MAGA Republican gets us into an ill-advised war and puts our economy into the tank. Barack Obama takes over, and for the next 8 years, it took time for him to clean up the mess that the Bush administration had left. And Obama left Donald Trump a really good, sound, quality economy. And, you can say, well, Brian, it was COVID. You look at the unemployment numbers. It wasn't. You look at the unemployment numbers before COVID, and they were tanking.
It wasn't. It wasn't that at all. He added $2.2 trillion, Trump did, in his last presidency to the debt just by lowering the tax rate for businesses. If you recall, it went from, I believe, about 20% to about 15%, which was about 2.2 trillion.
Right.
When he left, it was up about 4 trillion. Now, so the payments on the $36 trillion debt that we have are $1.1 trillion. That's just the interest payments. And he wants to add another 4 to 5 trillion on top of that. Why? Just to give the billionaires more tax cuts while the hardworking people have to pay at the highest rates.
And listen, for those of you that voted for Donald Trump, you can say until the cows come home that you think Trump is doing a good job. But the bottom line is Republicans don't know how to govern. And when you look at our debt, and you look at Republicans that have been in office for decades, and you look at who has gotten us in deeper debt, it's obviously Republicans.
Over the last
it's
20
not even
years,
close.
You can go back 5 presidents, and it can show that consistently the Democrats save us money when they're in office and the Republicans spend. I would dare, I don't know if I can do this, but I would dare someone to call in and tell me the difference between a conservative Republican and a MAGA, who's a MAGA or a conservative Republican, because we've talked to many of them. I don't think they know the difference.
No, I don't
because
think
a conservative Republican could never agree with the policies that are coming out. There's no way.
I completely agree with you. So you have Caroline Leavitt lying about the economy and certainly what's been going on here in the last 10 years. Listen to what she says about electricians and plumbers last night, and somehow she ties that into the LGBTQ community because, of course, we know MAGA Republicans like to hate on transgenders, like to hate on people who are gay, like to hate on minorities, and for whatever reason, this was on the tops of the list for Caroline Leavitt to attack the gay community. Have a listen to this.
And the president is more interested in giving that taxpayer money to trade schools, in programs, in state schools, where they are promoting American values, but most importantly, educating the next generation based on skills that we need in our economy and our society. Apprenticeships, electricians, plumbers. We need more of those in our country and less LGBTQ graduate majors from Harvard University. And that's what this administration's position is. And we also are not going to tolerate the illegal, criminal, anti-Semitic behavior that we saw take place at Harvard and many other college campuses across the country.
Yeah, Caroline Leavitt wants to talk about criminal behavior, yet she works for a guy who's a 34-count felon. I also find it interesting that in that little diatribe, she went on to attack the LGBTQ community. Leonard, why are MAGA Republicans so obsessed with people who are transgender and people who are gay? And why does she bring that up in this conversation?
I think that's part of the self-righteousness you find in the evangelicals and some of the Christians, because a true Christian doesn't, if you read the Bible, it doesn't hate it. They don't hate anybody. Everyone's your brother. Everyone's your sister. And while you can disagree with their lifestyle, you can't judge them for it. So if you're judgmental, that's probably going to work against you in the long run. I think that maybe some of them, and I don't have any personal knowledge of this, may have those tendencies. And so some psychologists would say they hate the part of themselves that feels that they would like to live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So they attack it.
It's really sick. It's disgusting. And Caroline Leavitt, again, is one of those fake Christians, despicable human beings that...
Let's invite her on the show.
Yeah, well, she's done this show before. I don't know if she'll do it again.
Really?
Yeah, she did this show last year. But Caroline Leavitt is your typical right-wing evangelical Christian, white, wholesome woman who is married to the Crypt Keeper, by the way. And Leavitt is, simply put, an individual who will attack the gay community, attack minorities, call being gay a sin, when she is the best sinner of them all, if there is even a term like that. Now, this is also an interesting point of her appearance yesterday, because we keep hearing about all these deals and the art of the deal and all these deals that Trump is making, right? 90 deals in 90 days, which we know was a farce and a lie. She called the deal with the UK miraculous. I'm not making this up. Have a listen.
For the trade talks, since you mentioned them, I was just going back and forth with our United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer, who informed me that the Trump administration continues to be in intensive talks with India, and the president, of course, has applied very public pressure to the European Union so that they too can have a miraculous trade deal, just like we cut with Britain and our friends in the United Kingdom. So we continue to move forward in cutting good deals that put the American people and the American worker first.
Can somebody please explain to me, Leonard, or anybody, how this deal with the UK was miraculous? Can somebody please help me out with that? How was this deal miraculous? What was it that America got?
Tariffs. They came back and said, let's not do that. Let's work together. And so really it's a zero sum. Nothing got done. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Nothing was instituted. And they were talking.
What was
anyway.
miraculous about it? Like, I don't understand. What was miraculous? She uses the term miraculous.
That might have been the word of the day.
You know what that's like saying? That's like saying when Donald Trump takes his shirt off, he looks miraculous. Is there any woman on the planet that would say that? I mean, listen, if you like male boobs, okay, and you like a hairy chest, maybe that's your thing. Okay, fine. I won't say I respect that, but that's your fetish. That's totally okay. But is there anybody that would say, I don't know, would Stormy Daniels say when Donald Trump took his clothes off and was on top of me for 13 seconds, he was miraculous in bed? No, that's like saying this deal in the UK was miraculous. It's the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. Miraculous.
If he imposed the sanctions on Russia, that might not be miraculous, but it would be close. if he decided to send arms to the Ukraine
Yeah.
and arm them and help them in the fight, that would be miraculous. But
Yeah.
I think he has other plans.
Donald Trump is miraculous in the sack. Donald Trump is miraculous that he's only 1 pound under being obese. Isn't that interesting? 239 pounds. I'm sure there's no coincidence there. I'm sure he's 239 pounds. I think his left boob weighs about 200 pounds. It's just so stupid and it's so ridiculous. It's miraculous that people out there actually still support Donald Trump. It's miraculous that people out there think that Caroline Leavitt is doing a good job. It's miraculous that people think she's a good Christian. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is miraculous that there are so many stupid people in the United States of America that still support a 34-count felon adjudicated rapist. And then Caroline Leavitt goes to the Rasmussen poll. Now, as you know, Donald Trump had some of the lowest poll numbers in 70 years for the first 100 days in office, but she's going to go to this one poll that makes it sound like the country all believe that we're headed in the right direction. Have a listen to this.
That's right, Sean. There is good news today. Consumer confidence hit a record high, and also the highly respected pollster Matt Rasmussen showed that the majority of Americans view our country as heading on the right track under President Trump. This is a stark contrast to what that same polling showed under the previous disastrous administration led by Joe Biden.
I see. It's interesting, though, because Leavitt didn't talk about some of the worst poll numbers for the first 100 days in office with any president ever in the history of the country. But she's going to go to this poll, by the way, which I haven't seen. And I find it hard to believe that the majority of Americans think that the country's headed on the right track under Donald Trump, who, again, has some of the worst numbers in American history.
Consumer confidence is way down.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. I want to ask you something. So there's a story that's come out that Barron Trump applied to get into Harvard, and Harvard did not accept him. They rejected him. And a lot of people feel, and I'm one of them, because Donald Trump is a vindictive son of a bitch, we all know that the reason why Donald Trump has been going after Harvard is because of the fact that Barron was rejected from Harvard. Do you believe that?
Well, that's the rumor. And it sounds like he's been using his power to, some people have called it on the news, the revenge tour. And so, but wouldn't that be really petty to do something like that? Wouldn't you have to really be, petty about something? I mean, does he hate Harvard? Or
That's who he is. That's who he is.
Well, why did he want his son to go there?
I don't think that he hated Harvard before. I think he hates Harvard now because he doesn't like the fact that his son was rejected.
If he applied there, then he wanted him to go there.
Right. I don't think he hated Harvard before, but I actually absolutely think that this is pettiness. And I think the reason why, because listen, they have these student visas all over the place, right? It's not just Harvard. He could have been going after other universities as well, and he very well might do that. But I think the reason why specifically he's going after Harvard is because of the fact that they did not allow his son to attend Harvard. He's had yes people around him his whole life. So when somebody finally says no to Donald Trump, he's very vindictive and he goes after them because he's used to having his way and he's a petulant child. I think that's exactly what happened here with the Harvard situation.
Well, I've heard that Florida has the most or close to the most and some of the best community colleges in the United States. So, stay close to home, go to community college.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know what type of person Barron is going to grow up to be, but I would imagine if your father is Donald Trump, you're probably not going to grow up to be a decent human being. I could be wrong on that. And Melania is a piece of human garbage too. I've never been a Melania Trump fan either. I think she's despicable, and I think she cares more about selling.
Amazon gave her $40 million to write a book.
Yeah, she cares more about selling her book and her $99 ornaments than she cares about the American people. Yeah, I mean, she's despicable. I think she's disgusting inside and out. Have all the plastic surgery in the world, Melania, you're still a disgusting human being. And I feel the same way about Donald Trump. And this is exactly what happened. Harvard rejected Barron. And at the same time, Trump wanted to get back at Harvard. I think that's exactly what happened here. That's my personal opinion.
Well, he must have not had the grades. I mean, I don't know the whole story, but
that's what I think.
If he qualified, yeah.
That's what I think. So coming up in hour number 2, Wajahad Ali is going to be joining us, former MSNBC contributor, the Left Hook Substack, and of course, Democracy-ish podcast. Wajahad is the best. He's going to be joining us in hour number 2. I want to thank one of our new sponsors. It's Bloody Shirt, bloody-shirt.com. It's protest apparel Visual ammunition to ridicule Trump and his supporters. Please check it out. It's about freedom of speech without fear. They offer compelling designs on 100% cotton T-shirts at $45, hoodies at $60, and proceeds will help fund the resistance. The Big Wussy is my favorite shirt, actually. I like that one. MAGA, mentally agitated, grifting a-holes. That's another great shirt that I like. Check it out. Again, bloody shirt at bloody slash shirt, or I should say dash, not slash, bloody-shirt.com, and please check them out. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got Leonard Cardinale in studio. We're going to take some phone calls when we come back. Your thoughts on this at 702-221-7283. Do you agree with me that the reason why Donald Trump is going after Harvard is because Barron was rejected? That's kind of what I think about this whole thing. And what do you make of the fact that Elon Musk is now speaking out against Trump's massive spending bill? He doesn't like it. Number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, 702-221-SAVE. Wajahad Ali joining us in hour number 2. Don't go away. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having way more fun. Hi, I'm Nicole Mitchell, and I'm a life coach. I help you get hotter and richer. If that is what you're looking for, you can find me at NicoleMitchell.com. My name, Nicole, is with a K, NicoleMitchell.com. You can reach out to me on my website or on Instagram, and I will be happy to be in touch and figure out what you're looking for and how I can support you in getting there.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and food. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that. Some very special guests lined up for you. Of course, as I mentioned, second hour, Wajahad Ali will be joining us on the program. Certainly looking forward to talking to him. And we got a special treat for you coming up on the program tomorrow. I've been wanting to talk to this guy for a while. He's got a very, very popular YouTube channel. And, I like to talk to people. I watch their content. They watch my content. And one of those guys is Jesse Dollemore. He's great. So he's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. And, yes, the very controversial and I've gotten into it with him before, the leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, is going to be joining us on Friday. When the word came out that Joe Biden had cancer, Enrique was celebrating. So I'm definitely going to get into it with him on Friday, but he's agreed to come on to talk about it. And I know what he's going to say.
I think he likes your show.
I know what he's going to say. Well, I don't care whether he likes my show or not, but I know what he's going to say. Oh, well, Joe Biden's DOJ put me in jail and treated me unfairly. So listen, he's not going to win with me, but I will look forward to talking with him, and I'm sure it'll be a very spirited debate on Friday, so I certainly look forward to that. All right, as I mentioned, the number to call is 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. We will be also getting to the YouTube Super Chat, where your questions and comments will be heard live on the air. You could also go to my website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can buy merchandise, and also donations can be made on the website. Again, that's pushingthelimits.live. All right, what do you say we go to the YouTube Super Chat? Thanks, Brian, for your donations. This is Brian, how much crypto meme coin did the Chris Lee couple's daughter have to buy to get her parents' pardon? Totally disgusting. I agree with you, Brian. It is absolutely disgusting. We'll get back to the YouTube Super Chat here in just a little bit. Let's take some phone calls now at 702-221-7283. We're going to Vino first. Vino is first up on PTL. Hi, Vino.
Hi, Brian. Love your show. Hi, Leonard.
Hi there, Vino.
Talking about Elon Musk, I think it's important that we don't fall for the smoke and mirrors, because I believe Elon Musk is still very much attached to Trump. He was with them throughout that Mid-Eastern trip when he got that jet. I don't think it's a coincidence that we're having white South African farmers coming to our country, where that's where Elon Musk is from. So I think the GOP understands that Elon Musk is not popular among the American people. So they don't want that optics of him being involved, but I think he's very much involved in this presidency still. The other thing is, I find it ironic that the Doge was for waste, fraud, and abuse, yet Trump's pardons are for people who are fraudulent with the government, with the income taxes, and all of that. It's just sickening.
It is. I agree with everything you just said, my friend. And a lot what's going on in this country right now is very sickening. We have a man, I use that term very loosely, in Donald Trump, who has defied our own Constitution, rule of law, does not give people due process, many people in this country. And it's sad the way they treat minorities. It's sad the way they treat the LGBTQ community, transgenders, you name it. If you're not a white right-wing evangelical or a Donald Trump supporter, they're going to treat you differently than anybody else and everybody else. And that's what makes this administration so dangerous. And we're seeing it on a daily basis.
Can I ask, Vino, can I ask you a quick question? Leonard here.
Sure.
So do you think that maybe the strategy has to do with the big, beautiful bill? Because Trump has already said, and it was no mistake, that he said he expects some of the senators to make changes to the bill, and I'm okay with it, right? So now you have Elon Musk coming in and saying, I hate this bill, it's not right, and taking the heat, so to speak, so that everybody has to say, well, Elon Musk is really upset, and Donald Trump expects us to make some changes, because as it's written right now, about 76 million people will lose their Medicaid, and that was on CNN this morning. That's a fact. And so, could it be the strategy that Elon takes some of the heat for Trump because we already know that changes are coming?
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, I like I said, Elon Musk and Trump are in the same person.
Could be.
I just don't trust Elon Musk. He's behind the scenes in everything, but they just lost a huge Supreme Court election, a month ago. Elon Musk tried to buy that, and people voted against that largely because of Elon Musk. He's not popular. The GOP wants to distance themselves from him, but he's very much a part of the scenes. And going back to Barron and Harvard, I think Barron should be an electrician or go to trade school or be a plumber.
That's what they
support. Caroline Levitt just said that.
That's true.
We need more trade school. And why are they putting their children into these Ivy League, and then they tell everybody, and I'm nothing against trade school at all, but why are they pushing trade school, but yet their children are trying to get into these Ivy League schools?
Vino,
So
could it be because...
Be a plumber.
Well, what about the education level of the most people that vote for Trump? For some reason, the higher the education level, the less they vote for him. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but it could be.
It could be. That could be possible. But I'll tell you one thing, and one thing for sure. Donald Trump does not care about the average, everyday, hard worker like a plumber. The people who Donald Trump caters after are the people that hang out at Mar-a-Lago. Rich, white, elitists, and tech billionaires, and it's why he continues to give tax breaks.
And when they go to
top
dinner,
1%.
They get out of the car and wear masks into the dinner they were invited to, so no one knows who they are or how many went or what their identity was or how much money they spent.
Because they're cowards, that's why. They're a bunch of cowards. 702-221-7283 if you'd like to be a part of the program. We're talking about a few different things here. Starting with Elon Musk, I played you the audio of Elon Musk now calling out this big, beautiful bill, now speaking out against Donald Trump. I actually think Elon Musk is going to do a little bit more of that now that he's kind of stepped aside a little bit from Doge. And, of course, also talking about Donald Trump's comments earlier today. Donald Trump's comments earlier today where Trump talked about Vladimir Putin. Give me another 2 weeks. Mr. President, do you think Putin wants peace? I don't know. Give me another couple weeks to find out about that. How many more innocent people did Vladimir Putin need to kill in order for Donald Trump to call him a dictator? He's already called Zelensky a dictator. By the way, Zelensky's not a dictator. So the number to call is 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Oscar. Oscar is next up on PTL. Hey, Oscar, what's going on?
Hello, Brian. This is me. I'm the guy that he's trying to deport illegally. And I had a point actually to talk about today. He's pardoning a big drug dealer, almost as big as El Chapo. There was a guy that was president in Honduras that got indicted for trafficking drugs to the United States. He brought in 500,000 kilos of cocaine to the United States, and then he bought a couple of houses from Donald Trump, and now Donald Trump is giving him a pardon, and he's the guy that sent him the 2,000 people on that caravan for political gain back in 2018, I believe, or 18. And Donald Trump got all the credit from the people, and the people don't even know. Now this guy got he's doing a 40-year sentence. He's only done about 3 years, and then now Donald Trump is going to pardon him because he's getting paid under the table. And it's important if you can reach out to a reporter that they can ask him when they go to the Oval Office and ask him how shameless he is by pardoning big drug dealers. You know what I mean?
Let's
Let's
talk a little bit about drugs for a moment, shall we? When you listen to anybody in the Donald Trump administration, they will lead you to believe that all the fentanyl coming into this country and illegal drugs getting smuggled into this country are from illegals. That is not true. The overwhelming majority of fentanyl and other illegal drugs that are in this country right now are coming in. They're coming in from U.S. citizens
at the port of entry,
at the legal ports of entry.
Correct.
But if you listen to Donald Trump and his despicable administration, they'll make it sound like illegals coming into this country. They're going to rape your kids. They're going to kidnap your wife, and they're the ones smuggling all the drugs in. They are never honest with the American people when it literally comes to anything. Now, in a perfect world, would I want no illegal drugs coming into this country, whether it's someone legal or not? Of course. But stop demonizing all the migrants coming into this country, whether they're legal or not. Stop demonizing these human beings. Give them the right to due process. Don't send them to some of the highest maximum security prisons in the world. But if you listen to the Trump administration, again, they will make it sound like that if you're a brown person, because notice he's not talking about people from other countries that are white that are coming in here. Like if you're from South Africa and you're 100% white, oh yeah, we'll let you come right in. But if you're brown, nope, take a seat. That's not by accident, and that's not a coincidence. It's make America white again. It's not make America great again, period.
Yes, because, it's important because he's saying he's anti-drug, and he's partnering the big drug dealer. Actually, if you do a research, his name is Juan Orlando Hernandez. He got indicted by the DEA. Actually, when Kamala came in, Donald Trump was talking highly of this man when he was empowered on his first term. He said that he was a good ally of his, that he knew him personally. Now he's pardoning him. And when Kamala came in, within 6 months, she put him in jail. He got extradited from Honduras. They brought him on shackles. The DEA sent a jet, especially just for him, to bring him over here. Him and his brother, they were serving 40 years to life in prison for trafficking to the United States, and now he's getting a pardon from Donald Trump.
Why am I not surprised?
A lot of Americans believe that Donald Trump believes on the rule of law. I don't know, you know what I mean, how they can justify that.
Fentanyl is just a really hot word right now, and I think that politically he's taken advantage of that. It was irrelevant to the immigration process. It was irrelevant to the immigration crimes. And actually, the crimes that immigrants have committed in this country are very low, and there are a lot of misdemeanors, but they make it seem like they're felonies and they're really bad people. I mean, ICE just arrested an 11-year-old girl in Syracuse, New York, because they thought she was a car thief, and then ICE got involved, and they realized that they arrested the wrong person, that she was not an immigrant, and I believe the police officer quit a couple of days later. I'm pretty sure he did.
It's despicable, but this is Donald Trump's America. You want to talk about Donald Trump's America, where they deport a woman breastfeeding her 1-year-old daughter with again, no due process. There is a 4-year-old, as I've talked about this story before, with cancer that was deported, a legal citizen. This is the Trump administration. This is what they are doing to this country. And if you are okay with it, then there's something wrong with you, and I don't know how you look in the mirror. 702, thank you for the call, by the way, 702-221-7283. Demetrius is next up on PTL. Hello, Demetrius. How are you?
Hey, how you doing this afternoon, Brian?
Good. What's on your mind today?
What's on my mind is I'm listening to a couple calls. He hit the nail on the head about that Elon Musk, and it's a whole masquerade that the GOP, they just they setting it up so they can run for the midterms. They're going to put that transgender. That's why they're not pushing that in no bill to stop the trans. And we got to watch out for the setup, because they're going to set it up perfect. They always seem to be 2 steps ahead of the Democrats. And just keep your foot on their neck, Brian. I enjoy hearing your show every day.
Well, thank you, Demetrius. That certainly means a lot. You know, I always stand up for people that maybe don't have a big a platform, and I try to be a voice for people no matter what the color of their skin is, no matter what their sexuality is. I don't care about that stuff. I care about your character. And, you know, MAGA Republicans can tell you until the cows come home, oh, we just want people in this country legally. No, they don't. They don't want people in this country that do not look like them. Many people in the MAGA base are racist. They're homophobic. They're bigoted in nature. They're despicable human beings. They judge others when they're the ones that should be judged, because they're the ones that support a 34-count felon. They're the ones that support an adjudicated rapist who has 25 women who have accused him of sexual assault or rape. They're the ones that seem to be totally fine with supporting a man who attacks Gold Star families, who attacks people of color, who once said, I don't want black people counting my money in my casinos. I want Jews counting my money. This is the guy who they support.
Racist as it gets.
So if they want to talk about how they want everyone in this country, you know, legally, but they don't care where they come from, that is a lie. All they want are white, straight people, middle-aged, white, straight Christians. That's all they want in this country. They don't want anybody else here. And they don't want to be contradicted. They don't want anything other than them and people who look like them. That is exactly what the MAGA base is. As I've said before, and I say again, I've been to some of these Trump rallies before. It is a Klan cult. That's right. I'll say it again. It is a Ku Klux Klan cult of followers and cultists. That's exactly what the MAGA base is.
Well, you know, some of the proof is that the MAGAs are willing to lose money, to lose jobs, to lose Social Security, to lose their food stamps, because they believe in Trump. And the real reason is because they don't want them other people to have it. So they're willing to take a loss as long as some other people who have earned it don't get to have it.
Exactly.
That's my opinion.
Thank you for the call, Demetrius. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Steve. Steve is next up on PTL. Hey, Steve, what's going on?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
Hey, this thing with Trump and Harvard kind of reminds me of when the NFL had all those protests and stuff, and he went after them full blast.
Yep.
And it turned out that they had banned him, and he was pissed off at them.
Yep.
And they're the only sport that has protesters that he went after.
I
Now
remember
they're saying
that. I remember that,
They're
Steve.
saying-
And I remember when Colin Kaepernick decided to take a knee and peacefully protest. Donald Trump called many of those players, many of them who happen to be African American, sons of bitches for peacefully protesting and taking a knee during the national anthem. But you see, my friend, if you're a white supremacist and you're a Donald Trump supporter and you decide to beat police officers with their own batons and you're convicted in a court of law, somehow that makes you a hero and a patriot and a hostage. But if you peacefully protest and you come from an inner city and you're a professional athlete, you make something of yourself, you make a lot of money through hard work, and all you decide to do is take a knee during the national anthem because you want equality, which I think should be a good thing. We should all want that unless you're a racist. Somehow that makes you a son of a bitch. That's who Donald Trump is.
He was protesting racism in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's what he was protesting. And he was just asking
He's
for the
also
contracts
proving-
and the opportunities to be on a level playing field.
He's also proving how vindictive he is because the NFL had banned him, and now Harvard wouldn't let his kid in their school, and so they're the bad guys.
Yeah, that's a really good
Don't
point.
Don't you wish he was that hard on Russia?
Yeah, well, he's the opposite on Russia. Vladimir Putin is his buddy. Let's be honest. Vladimir Putin is his buddy, and he refuses still to call Vladimir Putin what he is, which is an evil, murderous dictator. Thank you for the call, sir. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Christine. Christine is next up on PTL. Hi, Christine.
Hey, Brian, how are you today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind?
Hey, two things. So, first thing I want to say is you guys were just talking about taking a knee, right, during the national anthem.
Correct.
Free in this country would be being able to do that and not feel like you're going to be killed. Not, people are going to go after you because right now I don't feel like anybody could do that without the MAGA crowd having a fit, right?
That's true. That's true. I think you're right.
I feel like it's very unsafe to do that right now. So we're not free to do what we want to do for
not under Donald Trump.
Speech.
Not under Donald Trump. And you
Correct.
hear a lot of these MAGA buffoons talk about freedom of speech and they talk about our Constitution.
First Amendment.
Yeah, they preach about it for decades and decades and decades, but yet they have no problem with Donald Trump taking those rights away from people. So, again, I've said this about MAGA
like it's not
Republicans. I
happening.
say it every day. I say it again. They are some of the biggest hypocrites and some of the most despicable people that America has to offer. I said that before, and I say it again. They're a bunch of
100%.
cowards with no backbone. Many of these people are ill-informed. Many of these people are uneducated, and they are incapable of separating fact from fiction. They're just incapable.
Can I ask her a question? So, Christine, what do you think of the fact that 77 million people in America elected him and agree with him? What does that say?
It says our country's cooked, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're in trouble
You know,
because
I mean, because they can't separate fact from fiction, like you guys said, and the fact that the Republicans have this misinformation machine, right? That just goes, it's everywhere. That's all they listen to. They don't check anything. They don't bother to listen to a different news outlet or independent journalist.
Well, a perfect example.
No.
A perfect example.
It's their narrative.
A perfect example is my YouTube page, where people comment, and occasionally you'll have some MAGA people who will be, keyboard warriors, but yet they won't call into the show because they know they're the ones that'll get cooked. They're cowards. They'll put in their 4 or 5 words in a
100%.
sentence on a chat, but yet they can't bring it to themselves to use their little orange fingers to pick up the phone and to have an actual conversation or a debate. They'll make stupid comments like liberal tears or Trump derangement syndrome, which are, by the way, 8-year-old insults that stupid MAGA supporters use because they don't have any facts to back up their idiocy.
It's all talking points,
Yeah.
no facts.
Yeah.
Well, their knowledge base doesn't go beyond that, Brian. But the second thing I just want to throw out really quick, because I know you're going to have to disconnect with me, is that the Elon Musk thing. Let's just remind everybody, I don't trust him because he's the one who fired all these people from their jobs and didn't care. He had no empathy out there with the chainsaw. And let's remember one last thing. This is a man who could have solved homelessness. He could have solved world hunger and still had a ton of money left
Yeah, I
for
think
him,
the
for all
estimate's
his
only 22
children.
billion, correct? 22 billion they could solve.
Yeah.
That's a
it's
drop in the
pennies
bucket
for
to those
him,
guys. That's
pennies.
nothing.
And this man could have done that, and he chose not to. So you know what? Don't care what he says. I don't believe anything that this man says. I don't trust him. I don't know if he's trying to get back in good graces with the people that bought his EV vehicles, because they'll never buy them again. But it isn't going to work. See, us liberals, we're not that stupid.
I appreciate your call, and I would certainly agree with you, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the phone call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation.
What if they made an all-electric tractor? Those might be popular.
Could be. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go back to the YouTube Super Chat. And by the way, if you're just joining us, we're talking about Donald Trump, talking about Vladimir Putin. Another 2 weeks, I'll know what's going on. Elon Musk is disappointed in the massive spending bill. He's speaking out against it. I don't think that should be a surprise to many. Thank you, Reaver, on the YouTube Super Chat, who said the claim they only want people coming in legally fell apart the moment they started deporting people who applied and came in via legal ports of entry. I would also like to thank Joseph on my pushingthelimits.live website, who said, "Hi, Brian. It's always great when Leonard is on with you, and I'm sure that young lady will get a job in the administration whose parents were pardoned. Insanity, and these dopes that think he's not doing this for the money, mega dopes, and saying, have a great day."
How about Peter Garcia on the Super Chat? A donation and Leonard for governor of Nevada. Let's go, Leonard. That's 7. That's 7 votes that I have. Oh, is it 8? It's 7.
You're up to 7 right now,
up to 7.
According to my tally. By the way, Wajahad Ali is going to be joining us here coming up at the top of the hour, 702-221-7283. Let's go to James. James is next up on PTL. Hey, James, what's going on?
What's going on is all these people are calling themselves Christians, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says, "For I was hungry, and you did not feed me. I was thirsty, and you didn't give me a drink. I was a stranger, and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked, and you didn't give me clothing. I was sick and in prison, and you didn't visit me." Donald Trump has taken away all that.
He is.
So how could you be a good Christian and not do that? Do you think they maybe didn't read that part of the Bible? And
well, maybe
evangelicals
call me a really good Christian, but I know that if Donald Trump doesn't have any clothes, I would be the first person to get him some clothes. So that must mean that must mean I'm a really good Christian.
I definitely wouldn't want to see that.
That must mean I'm a really good Christian. I'm a good Christian then, I guess. I don't know. But now maybe I wouldn't say that for other people, but for Donald Trump, absolutely.
But Jesus went on to say, "What you do to the least of these, you do also unto me."
Yeah.
Right. So they can't be both. Isn't that right, James? They can't be good Christians and not feed the poor and not help the elderly and the sick and the meek and the indigent. They can't be both, right? Or is it just me?
No, they can't be both because they cut out USAID.
And what about SNAP for the children, feeding the hungry children?
And SNAP for the children and
medical care for the elderly.
Not caring for the elderly, not caring for the poor.
But this is the problem when you vote somebody in office that doesn't know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. When you put somebody in office that has been wealthy his entire life, that has been yes men and yes women around him his entire life, he's never been faithful or loyal to anybody in his life. When you put somebody in office that doesn't know what it's like to struggle, then that person sometimes is not going to help others that are struggling. Donald Trump doesn't know what it's like to struggle himself. And this is a guy who has no empathy or feeling for others. This is what you get when you put somebody like this in office and you give them this kind of power.
Can I ask James a question? Yeah. James, do you think the Dems are doing enough?
I think that they should fight harder. We can't fight fair. We cannot fight fair.
Can I ask you another question? And I don't want to get off subject, but why are there no Dems saying, let's get rid of Citizens United? Why are there no Dems saying, let's have Medicare for all? I mean, I'm not talking about little snippets on X or on social media, but how come none of them are saying, let's improve housing for the poor? How come that's not their platform? they should go after Citizens United. Should be the first thing they go after. So why are they not doing that? I think that's suspicious.
I'm going to tell you like this. If you're being funded by oil companies, you're being funded by Elon Musk, I can't tell you no when you funded me.
Well, Citizens United allows no cap on how much money you can give a politician, and you don't have to provide your identity. Don't you think we should do away with that, or at least the Dem leadership should be talking about that?
I certainly do. Now, whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. Thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Maria. Maria is next up on PTL. Hey, Maria, what's going on?
Well, I just want to tell you that I watch YouTube Spanish channels, and the people who are arriving in South America, like Peru, Chile, I heard all the information they get when they get arrested. They put 7 women in one small room. When they ask for water, they deny the water. They have to go to the bathroom, and they don't let them go to the bathrooms. It's on all the news in South America when they arrive at the airport.
Yeah.
Are you talking about in El Salvador?
You're talking about the El Salvador?
No, not only the Salvador, Chile, Peru, when they arrive to their country, when they get deported, they wait for them in the airport. They ask how they're being treated. They say they put 7 women in one small room, deny bathrooms. They don't give them no water. And then on top of that, they put them in a plate and they send them to their countries.
Well, this is what the Trump administration is okay with. Clearly, if you're a brown person in this country, legal or not, you're going to get no due process and you're going to be treated like an animal. Because let's be honest, many of these middle-aged white Republicans, MAGA Republicans, do not want people like you in this country. They can say until the cows come home, they want you in this country as long as you come into this country legally. Let me tell you something. They are lying. How do we know they are lying? Well, look at the Republican Party in general. Let's just start with black people. About 12 to 13% of the United States of America are black people. How many black people represent the Republican Party? Less than 1%. Why is that? MAGA Republicans don't like what you sound like. They don't like what you look like. They don't think that you represent them. They want white people in the Republican Party. And then what I hear with these MAGA echo chamber radio shows, well, look at all the high-powered positions that Donald Trump has put women in power. Oh, okay, that doesn't change my opinion at all. And by the way, this is not a diverse administration. Not at all. Why did he pass over? Why did he pass over Tim Scott? Why did he pass over Byron Donalds? Why did he pass over Dr. Ben Carson? Why did he pass over all these people? I'll tell you why. Because they're black. That's why. Because Donald Trump is a racist. That's why. Because he's a bigot. His father was in the Klan. His father was arrested at a Klan rally. This is a Klan cult. Donald Trump is a racist piece of human garbage. The MAGA Republicans are horrible human beings. They are terrible human beings. And when he said I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they will still support me, he was talking about you guys out there who voted for Donald Trump. But because you're all cultist sicko fans is what you are. You're unbelievably stupid, completely uneducated, ill-informed. That's what I say about these people, and I will continue to say it. It is a Klan cult of horrible human beings and some of the dumbest people that America has to offer. Period.
Brainwashed.
I have 3 American passports, 2 vans. They already with holes, and the new one. My daughter, when I go to California, my daughter says, "Mom, bring all 3 passports. The 2 that are not good anymore, and the new one, and your new driver license. Because the way you look and the way you sound, they can deport you."
Well, it's worth mentioning
I'm afraid to leave the house.
I don't blame you, Maria, and you're right. I agree.
It's worth
Thank
mentioning,
you for the
Maria,
call.
that the only reason that we are not sending people to Sudan over in Africa right now is because a federal judge blocked Trump from doing it. Otherwise, in my opinion, you go to Sudan, I don't think anyone's ever going to hear from you again.
No, I agree. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We'll go back to the YouTube super chat here real quickly. It's Jaeger in Vegas. Hi, Jaeger. Love my locals. Says 9 people have died in ICE prisons according to the regime so far. Kidnapped without due process, dead in American hands, unacceptable. Well, I agree with you. Anybody who's killed in some of these ICE prisons. Completely unacceptable, especially when you don't have due process. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to join the conversation. Let's go to Jack. Jack is next on PTL. What's up, Jack?
Taco. That's what I'm saying, Brian. Trump always took his out. FAFO. FAFO is one. Listen, I wanted to call in. Leonard's one of my favorite guests that you have. I don't really have a topic. There's so many different topics that we could talk about, but I'm feeling your energy, Brian, and I'm watching these congressional hearings, and you have somebody like Kristi Noem, and they're asking her the definition of writ of habeas corpus, and she says, "Oh, that's when the president can do whatever he wants to do." I mean, it's just they're woefully unqualified, and I just can't if that was mainstream TV and people watched. You're either choosing or not. Like I love C-SPAN. I just have to say, they it's no commercial, no funding, non-biased. They just put you in the room and you watch, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what you guys think of that. And Brian, on a personal note, as we near the midterms, I need you on 4 hours a day. It's a 2-hour thing.
I don't think mentally.
Leonard's got to be next to
That's
you.
nice of you to say. I don't think mentally I could do it. I'll be honest with you. 2 hours.
I got to tell you, I'm a talker.
That's like asking Donald Trump to go 30 minutes with Stormy Daniels. It's just not going to happen.
That ain't going to happen.
17 minutes? What did she say?
13 seconds? I think 13.
Oh, she said seconds? I thought she
She said a pink tater tot, too, was in her statement. A pink tater tot.
Yeah, that does surprise me. Good to hear from you, Jack. Thank you for the phone call. We got to take a break soon, but 702-221-7283.
Let's get a MAGA caller.
Let's go to Peter. Peter's next up on PTL. Hey, Peter, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Good. What's on your mind?
Leonard for governor.
That's 8.
Hey, real quick, did you guys hear about the guy at the punk rock event in Vegas this past weekend that showed up in a Nazi shirt? He got pretty much bullied out by the crowd, escorted out eventually after being punched and kicked and all that.
I did not. Where did that happen? I know you said in Vegas. Was that? Oh, punk rock. Okay. No, I did not hear about that.
That was like punk rock bullying event or something like that.
Interesting.
Isn't it interesting that we didn't hear about it?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, but why is that not on the news?
I don't know.
Why is it not on the local news?
It should be. Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. I guess the point is it's crazy how comfortable these people are getting. I mean, they're going from the keyboard warriors to calling into your show to people actually wearing T-shirts to public events and thinking it's all right. It's just crazy how I think this administration is kind of okaying and allowing this, making it a norm to where people are comfortable being publicly and outwardly racist and not expecting anything to happen.
Well, I got to tell you something. While I don't condone violence, it's amazing to me how the people who ran that concert would allow somebody like that to walk in there with something like that. They care so much about security, so they claim. They care so much about not bringing weapons in there, which, by the way, I am all for as well. Why would you let somebody walk in there with a Nazi shirt?
You can't wear gang colors.
Yeah. Why would you let they care so much about gang tattoos, but do you ever hear Donald Trump talk about swastikas? Do you ever hear Donald Trump talk about how horrible it is?
Do you think these people even know what that symbol means? Do you think they really know the history?
No.
Do you think they really know that it's not just a smear, that people lost their lives and they were brutalized and there was genocide? Do you think they even understand that?
No, I don't think a lot of them do, to be honest.
You just think
with
it's
you, Leonard.
cool?
I don't. I really don't. And I think a lot of them are so stupid and they're so ignorant. A guy like that walking with a shirt like that into a venue like that wants attention.
Oh, he wanted confrontation.
Well, he got it.
No doubt.
He got it. There's certainly no question about that. It's sad, it's sick, it's disgusting, but also not surprising. 702-221-7283. I have to go to the UK, and let's go to Paul, who's calling from the UK. Hey, what's going on, Paul?
Oh, hi there, Brian. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
Observing from the UK this global game of stupid that the whole world has to play with Donald Trump. Once this, and hopefully this nightmare will be over one day, and he'll be gone, and a sane party will be in charge with the same president, what will become and what can become of the Republican Party? How can it reform? Because there's barely one amongst them who still is in the party who is worthy of their office. How do you get back to a two-party system which you need?
Their reputations are ruined, a lot of them, even though they're going to run again, even though they're going to. But you have to remember, conservative Republicans are not the same as MAGAs. But they are showing a lot of cowardice by not standing up and saying, I'm a conservative Republican. Because a conservative Republican is not a MAGA. And if we have any callers out there that are conservative Republicans and they want to try and help us with the difference between MAGA and a conservative Republican.
Some of them have called in and they've tried to explain that to me, and that's fine.
None successfully yet.
But I just don't think independents will have a party to vote for. I think it's pretty simple in my personal opinion. And my personal opinion as follows. It's very simple. If you're an independent and you care about our democracy, if you're independent and you vote for Republicans and Democrats and you care about rule of law, then you do not vote for a MAGA Republican. I'm sorry, you just don't. And I can give you so many different examples
Look at Marco
as to
Rubio.
why I would say that.
He ruined his reputation.
Absolutely.
He used to be a conservative Republican. He used to have a policy that he believed in, that he followed.
Yep.
And now he's a complete MAGA. And so I think what you're asking is, for example, will his reputation ever recover? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think he'll always be looked at as somebody who kowtowed to Trump, especially since he was the one who talked badly about Trump and said this guy should never be in charge of anything.
Paul, do you have anything else you want to add, my friend?
No, it's just a question that's been on my mind, how you get back to the balance of a two-party system, which of course we still have in the UK.
Right.
And which you need in America. You need those two parties. Because then it still isn't a democracy if you've only got one set of opinions.
I think we have a two-party system right now in America, and it has nothing to do with Republicans and Democrats. It has to do with rule of law, and if you don't respect the rule of law, it has to do with democracy. And if you don't want a democracy, it has to do with, do you support rapists or do you support people who do not abuse women? It's
Outlaws and the lawful.
Yeah, that's how I feel, Paul. I'm telling you, my friend, that's how I feel.
Thanks for calling from the UK, though. That's
we
impressive.
We appreciate you, Paul. Thanks for calling in,
All the
my
way
friend.
across the pond.
Thank you, Lawrence and Brian. Thank you both.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good one. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Wajahad Ali is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan is next up on PTL. Hey, Ryan, what's going on? Hi, Ryan. Are you there? Ryan?
Brian?
Yes.
Is it Brian or
it's
or is it Ryan?
It's Brian. I am. Am I speaking to Ryan? Okay.
It's Brian.
Yes, sir.
No, it's okay. Sometimes people get it wrong. I just have a real quick question. I just want everybody on the chat to just make a decision. Would you rather have puppy dogs or Mexicans in your country? Because I choose Mexicans. Thank you very much.
Could you have both?
I'm confused. What do you mean?
We can have both. Both is great. I love puppy dogs.
So why? I'm
seriously,
Ryan. I'm confused. Why would you ask that? Help me understand. What do you mean? What do you mean? Why would we have to decide between puppy dogs and Mexicans? And why would we? Yeah, help me understand, Ryan.
Okay, so very easily.
Yeah.
Mexicans are more crucial to our economy and America than puppy dogs.
Well,
thank you very much.
Obviously,
That's it. I'm out. Bye.
Obviously, I agree with that. That's a very strange phone call and a weird analogy that you tried to make, but I do agree with you. Let's go to Brett. Brett is next up on PTL. What's up, Brett? Hi, Brett.
Hey, what's up, Brian? How are you?
Good.
Leonard?
Hey there.
I got a question for Leonard. I live really close to Mar-a-Lago, and I was thinking about updating my social media photos. And I just purchased one of those hats that looks like the MAGA hat with red, but it says "Is he dead yet?" And I was wondering if I show up there, and try to get somebody to take a couple, sexy photos of me in front of Mar-a-Lago with that gear on. Would I
wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
This is what I think will
I
happen.
wouldn't do it. Don't do it.
I think they will send somebody out to make contact with you.
Yeah, don't do it.
They will get your personal information, and then they will interpret what you're saying. Like when they said he should be 86th, which means kicked out of a club, and they turn that into a death threat. I would be very careful with that. But what you could do is you could take a picture of Mar-a-Lago, take a picture of yourself, use Photo Room, go online, and put the photo in.
And I'm sorry, what was your name again, sir?
Brett, I think.
Brett?
It's Brett.
Brett, don't do that.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm saying that because you sound like a nice guy. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. It's only going to cause you more problems. There are ways for you to convey your message on how anti-Trump you are, like I am, without doing that. Let's not talk about listen, you can do it if you want to. You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying that's only going to cause you problems.
He's going to give them juice to make a big deal
trying to
about it.
get some solid advice. I'm not looking to spend any time. I can't afford.
Listen, if you want to wear a hat that
you know.
says F Trump, if you want to wear a hat that says he's the worst president of all time, he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's a scumbag. If you want to wear a hat that says he belongs in jail, or you want to wear a hat that says send him, to an El Salvador prison, any of that stuff, I'm all for. But when you start talking about death and the president of the United States, it's not going to end well for you. And I'm just saying it's a bad idea. Don't do it.
And they're going to make contact with you. They're going to get your personal information, and then
Oh yeah, they'll immediately. They have. I don't know if you've ever been over there. Since he's even before it was after the attempt on his life. They have police barricaded off the whole section. It's really an inconvenience to go north in that area now. You can't even go north.
I have not been invited to Mar-a-Lago yet.
Off.
I don't know if Brian has, but I have not received an invite.
Well, yeah, I mean,
not as well.
is
I'm
pretty
okay with that.
popular.
I'm okay with. Listen, all the people that
I'm cool with it too, and I live less than a mile from there. So, unfortunately, going to appointments and stuff, it's convenient to take back, and it's scenic. But it's like really, it's odd to have the President of the United States' house so accessible, and it is very close, and people do drive very close to the area, so I can see how they could panic about people approaching it.
Well, you'd be giving them fuel to make a big deal of nothing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, and it would just end up being a bad situation for me. But
don't do it, my friend.
Yeah,
Stay safe out there, and I appreciate you calling in. Okay, I appreciate you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. So the number to call 702-221-7283. Wajahad Ali is going to be joining us next. I know the phone lines are full. I promise you to stay
They're
put on
always
there.
full.
We will take all your phone calls on the other side, but Wajahad Ali is going to be joining us next. We'll take a quick break. We'll get back to the YouTube chat, and Wajahad will be joining us next. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having way more fun. Hi, I'm Nicole Mitchell, and I'm a life coach. I help you get hotter and richer. If that is what you're looking for, you can find me at NicoleMitchell.com. My name, Nicole, is with a K, NicoleMitchell.com. You can reach out to me on my website or on Instagram, and I will be happy to be in touch and figure out what you're looking for and how I can support you in getting there.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, Enrique Tarrio is going to be joining us on Friday. When we heard that Joe Biden was diagnosed with cancer, Enrique was one of the many MAGA Republicans on social media that was celebrating. So I know we're going to get into it. Should be interesting. Thanks so much for joining us. We got Leonard Cardinale here as well. So the guy joining us right now, man, his Substack is great. It's called the Left Hook Substack. Democracy-ish podcast. I think he's one of the best in the business. He's so great. It's always a warm welcome for Wajahad Ali to be joining us back on the program. Wajahad, it is good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Brian, how are you, sir? I was on Piers Morgan and you weren't there, and they put me up against Michael Knowles, David Rubin, and Destiny. It was like the worst blunt rotation on earth. I missed you.
Well, you know what, Wajahad? I wish I was there with you. They actually asked me to do the show today with Chuck Todd, but they texted me at like 5 o'clock in the morning and I was sleeping and I didn't get it like 3 hours later. But I'm still waiting to do Piers Morgan with you because that would be a lot of
I was
fun.
actually going to do it with you. I think they invited me yesterday, but they said at 12 p.m. I was too busy. So,
But I did say Jack Posobiec wears the Donald Trump knee pads 2 weeks ago on there.
Oh.
And he said I had Trump derangement syndrome. So I said he had Trump fellatio syndrome. So I did have a little fun. You told me to have a little fun and I was thinking you.
You have to have fun, man, because as you went there and you saw, especially with Piers Morgan when it comes to domestic issues, right? On international issues, he's a bit better. But on domestic issues, when I was there a week and a half ago, all they talked about was Joe Biden's health, to distract from the utter chaos that we're witnessing in America. And what I said, and I tried to be very fair, was fine. If you want to talk about Joe Biden's health, let's talk about Joe Biden's health. Let's have all the tests. Let's have everything made public. And I want tit for tat. I want everything to be made public for the actual president, Donald Trump. And they kept just deflecting. And I said, you know what? Let's have all the public records of Joe Biden and his cancer. And I want the public records of Donald Trump, the day that he was almost assassinated. We still don't know the amount of damage that was done externally or internally.
Remember when he went to Walter Reed? We never got an explanation there either.
And in all seriousness, I'm taking you at good faith. I'm trying to be fair and balanced. I'm trying to unite America. Let's find out about these two old men. One who's no longer president, and the person right now who has, is the most powerful person on earth in charge of nuclear weapons, who's about to turn 79, who's gone to golf, I think, a third of his presidency to the tune of 30 million taxpayer dollars. A person who's fallen asleep. Speaking about fellatio, he fell asleep while he was being verbally filleted. Remember that on the 100th day, as the cabinet went around, you are the greatest president. No one's better than you. He fell asleep. So once you fall asleep while being verbally filleted, maybe, you've lost a step or two. I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
I tend to agree with you there. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, right? I'm not Robert F. Kennedy Jr., neither are you, but I have to ask you this. Trump was rejected from Harvard. Is it a stretch to say maybe it's just because Donald Trump is a vindictive son of a bitch and, he's going after Harvard and he doesn't even care about these student visas and all this stuff. All he cares about is going after people that didn't say yes to him. Is that fair?
I think so. Two things. Yes, I think it is fair based upon his history of unending Festivus. Festivus happens once a year for the rest of us. For Donald Trump, it's every day. I'll give you an example. The 2020 election. You lost, bro. Refuses to admit it and has signed an executive order investigating Chris Krebs, a Republican who literally just did his job. He was like a MAGA guy. He's like, yep, I'm a Republican. They asked me to, do an audit. I did the audit. 2020 election was fine. And because he didn't give him the answer he liked, he literally, this guy is being investigated for treason. So that's how petty this dude is. Not just petty, but also violent. Incited a violent insurrection, imagine violence against Liz Cheney, who voted for him 93% of the time, but said, violent insurrection is too far. Petty as F, to the point where he refuses to admit he's wrong. It's clear that the Central Park Five are now the exonerated five. DNA evidence cleared them. And to this day, he cannot bring himself to say, I was wrong. A lot of people were wrong. I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have taken out, that full page ad in the New York Times calling for their assassination. My bad. Enjoy your life. To this day, he says, nope, they're guilty. That's how petty, egotistical, vain, and weak this man is. And so, yes, do I think that it probably adds to this current fight against universities, this Republican agenda for the past 7 years to dismantle public education ever since the Supreme Court ruled that segregation is illegal? Yes. Also, going back to the last point of him just being an old man who's deteriorating in front of our faces today, Brian, I don't know if you saw that exchange with the reporter, where the reporter is literally asking him about this attack on foreign students, this ideological test that now we're going to do an audit of foreign students, right? He had no idea what the guy was talking about, which, again, folks, should terrify you. This man, he literally, on camera, as he's signing executive orders, says, what is this? This guy, this guy has fallen asleep 3 times publicly, Pope's funeral, while he was being filleted during that 100-day, adulation of the great leader, while he was talking to MBS of Saudi Arabia. The dude fell asleep. And I think it was just 2 weeks ago where he said on camera, what's the Congo? I don't know what the Congo is. So, and then the question is, who's actually running the show? And when it comes to immigration, bro, that's Stephen Miller. That's a white nationalist doing all this.
Absolutely, no question about it. If you're just joining us, Wajahad Ali from the Left Hook Substack, Democracy-ish podcast. So Wajahad, again, let's talk a little bit about this morning. You alluded to that. Let's talk about his response to Putin and all these attacks, more innocent women and children murdered. Every single time Donald Trump says, I think Vladimir Putin wants peace, there seems to be another airstrike or another bombing. And then today he says, give me another 2 weeks. Whatever happened, I'm going to end the war in 24 hours before I even get into office. It's remember Wajahad when he talked about Obamacare when he was president first go around, I have that replacement plan. It's coming up in 2 weeks. People are saying, and then, same thing's happening here. Give me another 2 weeks. Give me another 2 weeks. It's comical at this point, and I think a lot of people are tired of it.
I mean, especially with Russia, right? Like, who really believes that, he's going to hold Putin's feet under the fire? It's all nonsense. It's all rehearsed. It's all a script. This is a man who said he's going to end the war in like a day. War is still going on. This is a man who spent his last, it's been 4 months, parroting and promoting Russian lies and Russian talking points. Folks, Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia is the occupier, right? It is Ukrainians fighting for their freedom. It is Ukrainians fighting for self-determination, right? He met with Russia, without Ukraine. I think it was in the Middle East, right? He has, antagonized the EU. He has antagonized Ukraine. He has antagonized Canada, South Africa, Panama, Mexico, our allies. And who has he praised? Putin and MBS. There's nothing I wouldn't do for MBS, an authoritarian butcher, a man who murdered Jamal Khashoggi, a U.S. journalist. So what makes you think that he'll ever stand up to Putin? He's never said anything critical of Putin in his entire life. He literally parrots his talking points, sits there like a wounded dog, no offense to dogs, as Putin mocks and ridicules the United States of America, mocks and ridicules. Remember in the first administration, Putin was sitting there mocking and ridiculing our CIA and FBI, and Donald Trump sat there and nodded his head. So he's not going to do anything, folks. And this is a man who, speaking about conspiracy theories, not conspiracy theories, just follow the money. He's completely compromised, right? Like it was Russia through Deutsche Bank that bailed out Donald Trump. So he's like, these guys are my friends, they're my buddies, and that's probably a reason why that's the one person, speaking about a man who has grievances against everyone, the one person Donald Trump has never publicly criticized, Vladimir Putin.
True. Very true. Let's talk about, because I don't think I've spoke to you since this $400 million gift, Qatar gift. I don't think that he's ever going to return this to anybody. Nope. I don't think he's ever going to fly it as president of the United States, because quite frankly, I think it cost too much money just to rip it apart and go through it. That would take years, I've heard, and maybe upwards of like $1 billion to go through this thing. So I think he's actually going to keep it himself. And when he leaves office, I think he's going to be flying in it. What do you say?
First of all, I call it a bribe. I mean, I know you meant gift with the wink, but let's just call it for what it is. It's a bribe. It is. Just like this MAGA murder budget, it's a theft, a wealth transfer, the biggest wealth transfer to the richest people on earth at the expense of our Social Security and our food supplements and our benefits and our healthcare, right? It's an oligarchy, it's theft, and this is a bribe by Qatar, and they... Donald Trump, as Danielle Moody, my co-host, says, is a 2-bit hooker, right? His legs are wide open and spread apart. Like everything's for sale. I'm sorry to use such a crass analogy, but folks, this is a man who literally openly accepted a bribe from Qatar. Qatar now owns him, right? What's the price? A $400 million luxury plane in the sky that he will donate to the Trump Presidential Library. Oh yeah, because he's a reader. No, he's going to use it himself. And I hope he doesn't use it for Air Force One, because my God, a completely compromised plane given to you by a foreign country? No, Air Force One is like the Oval Office in the sky. So I hope he doesn't use it as Air Force One, because let's just see, when he does the math, he's like, oh wow, it costs so much. So that's my prayer. Please God, let it cost too much, because he wants to use it as Air Force One. But then also last week, literally, I'm auctioning off the White House, access to the White House, pay for play. And all these multimillionaires came, they bought his stupid meme coin. And what we find out this week, just yesterday, one mother came, gave $1 million, and her son, a tax cheat, just got pardoned, Brian. So it's all pay for play. The White House is for sale. America's for sale. And then I want people to have receipts. Remember that they had classified documents in Mar-a-Lago and the FBI begged him to return it and he never returned it. Why did he take those classified documents? Who did he share it with? If I'm thinking like Donald Trump now and looking at his pattern of behavior, I would have sold it to the highest bidder, Brian.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And I think that probably did happen, and we might never not know the actual truth to that. Looking forward now, you mentioned, this bribe, this $400 million gift. I'm just wondering, looking forward now and listening to Caroline Levitt, I wanted to ask you about her lie every single day. She called a deal with the UK miraculous. She said that on Fox News yesterday. She talked about how the economy was so terrible under Joe Biden, so great under Donald Trump. They make it sound like, you mentioned Stephen Miller, they make it sound like gas prices have gone way down. Inflation has gone way down. The economy is headed in the right direction. Look at this new Rasmussen poll that suggests that most Americans think America's headed in the right direction, when this is the same guy who had just the lowest approval ratings in 70 years in the first 100 days in office. How can you take anything that Caroline Levitt says with any bit of truth?
I'm rereading 1984. I'm trying to read fiction, and I just got to the line yesterday where the narrator says, the final most essential command was not to believe the evidence of your eyes or trust the evidence of your ears, right? I'm paraphrasing it. And that's what we're witnessing. That's what happens in authoritarian regimes. Don't believe your eyes, don't believe your ears, just trust us. It's a Rasmussen poll, which is like the same thing as a poll written by like my 5-year-old daughter. Just useless. But the point is that most Americans, right? The one thing that most Americans could always guarantee on is they love money. Money rules the world, right? In God we trust. And people at the end of the day, they know how much they're paying for gas. They know how much they're paying for eggs. They know how much is in their bank account. It's very hard to spin the economy, which is why, going back to that old adage, it's the economy, stupid, right? And Donald Trump right now is underwater on the economy, on inflation, on tariffs. He's underwater pretty much across the board. Some polls have him barely above water in immigration, but even on Abrego Kilmar Garcia, he's negative, right? So it's going to take, sadly, Brian, Danielle and I were talking about this earlier today. Danielle asked me, how much more pain will Americans have to endure before enough wake up? And my answer was more. It's going to take more. And we're going to get there sooner than later, folks. It's only been like 4 months. And Walmart CEOs and Target CEOs last month, in that meeting, allegedly, they told Donald Trump off the record, we're worried about our shelves being empty in the summer due to this trade war. Donald Trump last week, out of vindictiveness, said tariffs on the EU. Why? Just cuz, right? So what's going to happen? Prices are going up. Price of eggs are up. Price of gas is up. People can't afford groceries. Moody's literally just downgraded U.S. credit rating for the first time in history, right? People aren't visiting us, right? Because of this retaliation. Canadians aren't visiting us. Mexicans aren't visiting us. Europeans aren't visiting us. A lot of these cities and a lot of these towns in America depend on tourism, especially in the summer. So think about it. In addition to all this, as you're gutting veteran affairs, right? Literally firing people, State Department, USAID, thousands of people being fired. They don't have an income. They don't have what? Healthcare. They can't spend money. You're getting rid of all these immigrants. Just common sense, Brian. What does that do to the economy?
It absolutely destroys our economy. I mean, we rely on so many of these good, hardworking people. I think the biggest problem when it comes to immigration right now, what the Trump administration is doing, Wajahad, is people don't have due process. There are women that are getting separated from their 1-year-old daughters while breastfeeding. There are people that are getting gay hairdressers with tattoos of mom and dad with no violent criminal record who attempted to come through a legal port of entry seeking asylum that are sitting in an El Salvador prison right now. People are not getting due process, and they always talk about the Constitution, these MAGA Republicans. Last I checked, correct me if I'm wrong, and the Constitution says any person. Doesn't say documented or undocumented, but it's funny how MAGA Republicans just seem to comb over the wording there, don't they?
Well, not just, it's not just MAGA Republicans. Let's be honest. Elisa Slotkin, the centrist Democrat, also parroted that talking point. Oh, it's U.S. citizens. Nope, it's persons. The founders could have said citizens. It's persons, right? And what Stephen Miller and Caroline Levitt, and unfortunately some centrist Democrats, in order to appear tough on immigration, are saying, no, this only applies to citizens. Nope. Persons, right? We have due process thanks to the Fifth Amendment. The writ, the grand writ, the great writ of habeas corpus, right? You can challenge your detention, right? Anyone can challenge their detention thanks to Article 2, which prevents the government, such as in authoritarian regimes, to literally kidnap people, without due process, right? And say, Brian, he said seditious content. Like, wait, I did? So we had to come and just, abduct him from his studio, and his family won't know when he'll get home, but just trust us. Just trust us. He's a traitor. No, That's why you have the habeas corpus, right? Like, you can challenge your detention. And the fact that, they're trying to suspend the right to habeas corpus, which has only been done 4 times before, and they're saying this is wartime. You have to listen to Stephen Miller. He says, we're being invaded right now. This is wartime, which is why we have to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 and why we have to suspend habeas corpus. That should be leading news. Like, that is dictator type level stuff that is happening in the United States right now. But tell me more about Joe Biden's health.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about that. And actually, Wajahad, that was going to be my last question for you. And I think it's a fundamental difference between Republicans and Democrats today. You remember when the useless turtle, Mitch McConnell, was freezing up and he had these health problems, right? Joe Biden was the first guy to pick up the phone and call him to see how he was doing. How do we know this? Because Mitch McConnell talked about it. And I remember when Paul Pelosi was bludgeoned with that hammer and almost died. And you had people like Ted Cruz and Matt Gaetz putting out conspiracy theories, not wishing him well, but saying it was some sort of gay relationship and that he let him in. And they never retracted any of that stuff. But yet when Joe Biden has cancer and it's announced and it's gone to the bone and we know it's very serious, what do some of these MAGA Republicans, and very popular, some of them, right-wingers on social media do? They gloat. They say, I hope he goes to hell. You don't see thoughts and prayers. And even MAGA Republicans who are politicians, they'll say, J.D. Vance did that. Well, I'm sorry for him and his family, but, and then they go into conspiracy theories. They can't just leave it alone, Wajahad, and say, I wish him and his family very well during this very difficult time. That's all you have to say. But they have to.
Last week on Piers Morgan. That was the whole thing, is that Piers Morgan is like, I wish him well, but conspiracy theory. And I'm like, whoa. And I called out the conspiracy theory. They couldn't even wait 2 hours. It was Don Jr., then J.D. Vance. Perpetual grievance, conspiracy theory. He was hiding something, this. And I, as you know, my daughter is a stage 4 cancer survivor. She's turning 9. She had cancer. She was diagnosed 7 years ago, and 6 years ago, excuse me. And, she had a full liver transplant, and thankfully, knock on wood, she's healthy. What I tried to educate them is, I left my daughter for a trip. Perfectly healthy. She was about to turn 3. And 2 days into my trip, my wife calls me and says, I took her to the emergency room. I saw bumps on her stomach, and then I thought she had eaten something. And then the nurse came in, and said, I have terrible news. She has stage 4 cancer. That's how quickly, so if God forbid anyone who's watching right now, may you never go through this. May you and your loved ones never have cancer. It's the number 2 killer after cardiovascular disease. Yes, no matter how young you are, no matter how old you are, you can be perfectly healthy. And guess what? You can find out just like that, going for a normal checkup. Oh, by the way, we found something in your lung, right? So I was trying to say that to them, and they're like, no, but he's 82, but he's the president. Surely they hit it. And I'm like, okay, let's play this game. Everything you want from Joe Biden, I want from Donald Trump. And then they're like, pivot, gish gallop, deflect.
Yep, absolutely. If you don't mind me asking, how's your daughter doing now? Is she doing better?
She's a diva. She's about to turn 9, fully healthy, super confident, knock on wood, nothing's come back. We do that, her whole life's going to be interesting because she had a full liver transplant, but, she's healthy. So she had stage 4 cancer. It was all over the liver and had moved to the lung. Joe Biden has stage 4 cancer, has metastasized to the bone. He's much older. So, it's not looking great for Joe Biden. Let's be honest. It's not looking great. And so, I have my critiques of Joe Biden. But maybe I'm so biased because I've gone through it as a parent. I don't wish cancer on anyone, even my worst enemy, assuming I have any enemies. All you got to do is I disagree with this person, but cancer is terrible. And what is the Trump administration doing right now? They have cut 31% of cancer research budget in the first 100 days. They're trying to eliminate $11 billion from the public health infrastructure. I don't know about you, Brian, but if I was corporate media, that to me would be the big news, while Joe Biden talked about his cancer diagnosis, that in 100 days, this Trump administration has cut 31% of our nation's cancer research.
I would also say that, Wajahad, you not wanting anybody to have cancer doesn't make you biased. It just makes you a good, decent human being. And I'm with you. Your daughter sounds like a warrior. I'm sorry you and your family have had to go through that, but I wish the best for your daughter and your family. Before I let you go, how can people catch your Substack? It's a great Substack. And of course, your awesome podcast, Democracy-ish. How can people follow that?
Yeah, so it's thelefthook.substack.com, the Left Hook on Substack. I've made everything free. There's no paywalls. I depend on the kindness of strangers. If you have a few bucks, please give it. But I believe in informed citizenry. I write, I interview folks. We keep it real. We keep it blunt and we try to keep it honest. And I co-host Democracy-ish every Monday and Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time with the fabulous Danielle Moody. You should have her on sometime. She's great. And you can find that on Danielle Moody's YouTube. And we keep it real, folks. And we don't bend the knee. And we use words like fascist and authoritarian and white supremacy. And we criticize the Democrats too, because they, the establishment has it too. And our intention is not restoration, it's reformations, right? So we're interested in reformation because I think many of your listeners agree that you can't go back to the good old days. They weren't that good for the rest of us, Brian. We need some fighters.
Absolutely. You're one of them. I would love to have your co-host on my show. It'd be a pleasure to do that. And we still have to get on Pierce Morgan together. We're
this close. This close. If you and I had both said yes, we would have been on today.
Well, I guess I'm their backup because, they texted me. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, but I was sound asleep. Wajahad, I love you, man. You're the best. Keep up the great work. Keep up the fight. Love your podcast. And we'll have you on again soon. And I appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother. Take care. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Wajahad Ali, everybody. One of the best in the business. I love that guy. He's great. Yesterday, Leonard, I had Ron Filipowski on, who I also think is one of the best in the business. Ron Filipowski with Midas Touch is just so smart.
Good speaker.
What do you think the combined IQ of Ron Filipowski and Wajahad Ali is? These are two really smart guys.
290, 300.
Yeah, it's got to be up there, right? Yeah, it's got to be up. They would also pass a cognitive test. What do you think about Wajahad, though? I just think he's fantastic.
Well, he's very well spoken and he presents his ideas really well, very clear, very easy to understand. He didn't get caught in the weeds like I do sometimes, but what a great guy. He stands for what's right. And what was interesting is I believe, as you believe, you don't wish bad health on anybody. It's bad karma. It creates negative karma for yourself.
So listen.
So I disagree with what they did.
So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about, okay? If something happened to Donald Trump, I wouldn't feel sorry for him. But I'm not going to sit here on the air and say, oh, please, I hope something terrible happens to him. I remember, and I've talked about this on the air, and I'm very transparent about it. I remember when Rush Limbaugh died of cancer. And the next day, I was on a very conservative radio station, but I didn't care. And the next day, I went on the air and I said, not going to miss him one bit. Good riddance. And the difference between a Rush Limbaugh and a Joe Biden, this has nothing to do with policy disagreement. Let me be very clear on this. Joe Biden is a man of empathy. He talks a lot about grief and loss. And he talks about the loss of his first wife and his daughter in a car accident. He talks about the loss of Beau Biden. I have my problems with Joe Biden. I have issues with he didn't step down earlier and some other stuff. But I've always said I believe Joe Biden is a decent human being. Now, when I heard Rush Limbaugh had cancer, I didn't really say anything. I didn't say, like, I hope he dies.
I mean, either.
I didn't say, good for you. I wasn't jumping up and down and celebrating.
And you certainly weren't wishing it upon him.
No, I didn't do that either. But when he did die, I was not sending out all the grievances and oh, I'm so sorry. This is a terrible loss. Now, I understand his family, his friends. I said, your family and friends, I feel for you. My thoughts to you. I don't feel bad for Rush Limbaugh. And because Rush was the guy who spread bigotry, racism, and hatred on the air every day. He called Barack Obama the magic Negro on the air. He called Sandra Fluke a whore because she wanted contraceptics, for under her health care. This was a very bad man. Okay. I don't feel bad for bad people that lose their lives. Okay. It's kind of like if you're a drunk driver and you crash your car and you kill a bunch of innocent people on the road. Obviously, my first thoughts are for those innocent people who lost their lives. Drunk driver, while it might be a tragedy, I don't feel for the drunk driver. I feel for those innocent people. That's how I feel about Rush Limbaugh. And that's how I would feel about Donald Trump if something did happen to him. I'm not wishing, but there's a difference. And people said, well, wait a second, Brian, you were gloating when Rush Limbaugh died. No, there's a difference. I wasn't gloating. I said, I won't miss him. And I hope he's burning in hell. That's what I said about Rush Limbaugh. And there's a reason for that. And it's not because he was a Republican. And it's not because I disagreed with his, stuff on policy. It's because he was a really bad person. If you're a really bad person, I don't feel sorry for you if you die, period. No other explanation. I don't wish it upon you, but something bad does happen to you. I don't feel sorry for you. There's a difference. Joe Biden's not a horrible guy. Okay. If you think he's this horrible human being, then there's something wrong with you. And there are people that are gloating when they found out he had cancer. There are people that are happy.
Well, it's like gasoline on the fire for MAGAs. When you talk anything they say about Joe Biden, anything that's negative, they blame him. Trump's blaming him for the bad parts of the economy right now and saying the good parts are me. But Biden is like red meat for the MAGAs. So I believe that is why they mention it. I believe that's why they bring it up and say the negative stuff, because it's providing gasoline for the fire.
Absolutely. I think
terrible.
Terrible
thing to do.
Absolutely. I think
they should wish him well and hope that he gets better soon.
But they won't do that. And our own vice president wouldn't do that. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But I mean, it's so pathetic. These people are they're just horrible people. It's worse than a moron.
If it was Putin, it'd be different.
Let me tell you something.
Wishing him the best.
You're right. Good point. You're a moron if you lock your keys in your car for a day. You're a moron. You're not a moron if you're the vice president of the United States and you're talking about a conspiracy theory about Joe Biden, and you're not wishing his family well and feeling for him and his family. All right, let's get back to the phone lines at 702-221-7283. I promised I would do that.
Those lines are packed.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Maggie. Maggie next up on PTL. Hey, Maggie.
Hey, guys, are you still there?
Yes, go ahead, Maggie.
Hi, guys. Okay,
Hi.
So I just want to reach out to you. So this goes out to all the people that are still on Medicare that I guess are getting a little bit gypped and trying to reach out to where they're at right now. And me, like everybody else, is beyond confused because I think I'm about the 13.8 million people that will reach out to being like, what's going on here? So I guess I'm going to speak out to all of them being like, what is happening to the rest of us?
With regard to Medicare?
Yes.
Well, here's my
understanding. Bill.
Right, but this bill has to pass the Senate. I don't know if it will.
Right,
but
I know, but
here's
what are they looking at?
Yeah, so
I want to see my friends be prepared.
My understanding is as follows. As I read parts of the bill, every state is going to be affected differently. There are some states where up to 67% of Medicaid will be gutted. And if you're a single person or you don't have kids, you're completely screwed. But there's a very good chance that it will affect a lot of people in this country. Now, I'm hoping that the Senate will not pass this bill, because if it is passed, this is Project 2025 all over again. And I'm not going to lie to you, it probably will affect you. It probably will affect your friends.
Mr. Bryan, can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
And can you please explain what that means to the people if that does happen?
Well, it means that some people that are struggling that rely on Medicaid to surprise will not have Medicaid.
They're trying to impose a work requirement.
Right.
So they're saying that there are people who sit home on the couch who receive Medicaid who don't deserve it, and there's a work requirement. But 76 million people would lose their Medicaid with a work requirement because, as we all know, most of them are disabled or injured or mentally incapacitated. So they're not going to be able to work. So essentially, they are just taking away their Medicaid with some lame excuse that makes no sense. But I think the Republicans have realized it's going to cost them in the midterms if they push this Medicaid thing. And I think that's where the pushback came from.
I hate to say it, but some of those people that are sitting around don't know what's going on. Probably don't know what's going on.
I would say my dear, that's more than 50% of the people who voted for Donald Trump.
I want to say 75% of the people were in the white population that were affected by these cuts.
Oh, yeah.
So it's mostly his voters, but for some reason, I have friends, family.
Yeah.
They still love him.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Yeah, go figure. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ray. Ray is next up on PTL. Hey, Ray, what's going on?
About the last guest's daughter had cancer.
Yeah.
I had cancer, prostate cancer, 29 years ago. I'm free for 29 years.
Oh.
I went in just for an exam. I had no symptoms or anything, and they found that I had prostate cancer. I just want to reinforce what he says. One day you're good, the next day they find something.
It's almost in a way like life, where one day mentally you're doing great, and then the next day something could happen to you, and you're in a totally different vibe or feeling. Unfortunately, that's the same thing. I agree with you when it comes to anything involving your health.
We're glad you beat it. We're glad You were able to
we're glad you
fight
beat it.
through it.
Yeah, we're glad you beat it, my friend. And for anybody out there that wishes cancer on people, or for anybody out there that gloats when somebody gets cancer, they are sick human beings, and I hope they all burn in hell. I really do, especially those people who are talking about Joe Biden and happy that Joe Biden has cancer. They're just awful people.
They're going on the down elevator.
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing better, sir, and I appreciate your call. Mark is calling all the way from Vegas. What's up, Mark?
All the way.
Hey, Brian. A couple of things really quick. One, if doctors checked Trump's prostate, they would find his entire cabinet was inserted up there. So that's
probably
where we know
inflamed.
they are. Yeah, absolutely. On Medicaid, I just want to make a quick comment that it not only, of course, hurts, and this is terrible, all the people who need it and won't get it, but that money doesn't stay with them. Conservatives need to realize that that money flows through them into our for-profit healthcare system. So in the red states, in the rural areas, that's who's going to be hurt are the hospitals, the doctors, the providers. All those people are going to take it in the shorts. And a lot of those people voted for him as well.
That's true.
Yeah, they're definitely going to get priced out in those rural areas and those hospitals and those doctors. But I don't really think the people who are applying it really realize how badly they're hurting Americans and possibly, sociopaths. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, the overall economy is going to be hurt. All that government money flows into the private marketplace.
Listen,
you cut all that money out, and what you're going to do is you're going to eviscerate the economy.
I say this in a very generalized way. I didn't realize how many selfish and stupid people there are in this country. Sadly, I know some of them. Sadly, I used to know some of them.
Millions.
And there's a lot of, selfish is a word that can be used to describe a lot of different people that I've known in my life. And sadly, a lot of those people voted for Donald Trump, and it's sad. But all we can do as human beings is get those people out of our life, right? That's all we can do.
And out of office.
Yeah, and out of office, absolutely. And
call
and
your
that's-
senator, call your congressman.
and that's why the
You bet.
midterms. That's why the midterms are right around the corner. It's good to hear from you, Mark, and I appreciate your phone call. Thank you very much. Also, thank you to Pauline on pushinglimits.live who made a donation. Pauline says, "How do you get Trump to change a light bulb? You don't. He'll just lie and say he did. The Republicans will sit in the dark and say he's done it well." That's actually very
Or that
funny.
Joe Biden made it dark.
It's actually very funny. Pauline, thank you for your contribution. She went to pushingthelimits.live, and we certainly appreciate you. Chris also made a donation on the YouTube super chat. Chris says, "What's a good nickname for Trump's press secretary?" Caroline, the lying bitch, Levette.
Evil Barbie.
The evil Barbie. Yeah. I don't find her attractive at all. So I think when some people call somebody Barbie, they might think that a Barbie's attractive. I don't know. I don't. I don't find her attractive. I think she's despicable inside and out. I don't find Kayleigh McEnany attractive. I think she's despicable. Maybe it's because I also know what they represent, but their appearance to me is irrelevant as much as, we have some fun with Donald Trump, and I call him the orange orangutan, but I don't really care about someone's appearance. If they're very insecure and they want to put 8 layers of orange makeup on, that's fine, so long as they treat people with respect and they're nice to others. And we know Donald Trump is not that person. So again, Caroline Levette,
No Barbie doll, like more like My Little Pony, or
I don't know. I mean, I know she's married to the Crypt Keeper, so I don't know. Maybe we can maybe we can do it.
Queen of the Crypt.
Who was the model who died many years ago, who was married to like a 90-year-old man, and she posed in Playboy? And
Anna Nicole Smith?
The late Anna Nicole Smith. By the way,
She was pretty.
I'm not very pretty. I'm not saying Anna Nicole Smith was a bad person or anything like that, but I think of that marriage like I think of Caroline Levette's marriage. But I'm sure she married him for his lavish good looks. I'm sure.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
she's. I think the Barbie doll came from just having the blonde hair,
And I'm sure Donald Trump provides her and her husband with an endless array of blue pills. I'm sure. Johanna Jorgensen on the YouTube super chat says, "Ask the Trump humps why people are losing health care and trillions added to the debt if we are making billions from other countries from tariffs."
Yeah, where is it?
It's true.
Where's the billions the billions and billions that came in?
Yeah, well, wasn't Doge going to save us $2 trillion? Then it went down to $1 trillion. Then it went down to $140 billion. They can't even prove that. 702. Oh yeah, they're raising the deficit by $5 to $6 trillion. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Linda. Linda's next up on PTL. Hey, Linda, what's going on?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I've got this idea that Trump might step down, put Vance in his place, so that Vance could pardon him. Is this crazy?
He's going to pardon himself.
I think he's probably could pardon himself. And
he could? Okay.
And regardless, my opinion is I think J.D. Vance is going to run as president, and I think Donald Trump will run as his vice president. That's what I think is going to happen.
Really?
Oh, really?
I do. Yep. I don't think Donald Trump's going to leave. I think he's going to be vice president alongside J.D. Vance. That's what I think.
don't think they're going to run. I think he's going to appoint him before the end of his term and just let him take over, and then have an election, and then say the election doesn't count because we can prove that they cheated through some satellites or machines. And I don't think their plan is to ever leave office again. That's what I think the plan is.
It could be. I wouldn't put anything past Donald Trump. I'm just giving you my opinion. J.D. Vance is just despicable.
Because he might be headed for prison if he ever becomes
he could.
A regular citizen again.
Hard and unlikely to do that, but possible.
That's what I was wondering. Will he ever go to prison if he's not president?
I think Jack Smith has something up his sleeve, and I think when Donald Trump does leave office, I think that he will probably have to face the music. Whether he's going to go to jail or not, that I'm not sure of.
But can the next president pardon him?
Yes. The president can pardon anybody they want. It's the only part of the Constitution, you could argue, that has no accountability, no constraints. And if you remember throughout history, some very bad people have been pardoned. The one that comes to mind the most is Nixon. But some very bad people, some criminals have been pardoned.
Very bad people. Many people are saying. Thank you for the call, my dear. I appreciate it.
A lot of people are saying.
Good to hear from you. Many people are saying. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy's next up on PTL. What's up, Kathy?
Hey, Brian and Leonard.
Hi there.
Hi. Something really is bothering me. I know I've spoken with you before, Leonard, about ICE, but something is really bothering me right now. I am seeing reports of women who are being sexually assaulted by men who are purportedly presenting themselves as ICE individuals. And what bothers me about that is that there is no accountability for this agency. I don't understand why the Democrats are not doing a serious investigation on these people. And even with the state representatives, the state police departments or what have you, I don't know why they would not do any further investigation and just let vet these people before they can actually do their job. So I was wondering, is there something that we can do as ordinary citizens?
All you can do is call your unfortunately,
your
all
senator.
you can do is call your representative.
Call your congressman.
That's absolutely all you can do. You call your representative, you give them hell, you tell them what you want them to do. Whether they do it or not is another story. But other than that, we're not lawmakers, so there's really not else we can do other than to set an appointment, speak to them, leave them voicemails until something is done and they're held accountable. That's all you can do.
And the Dems are not doing enough, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that, Kathy, but we don't really see a lot of pushback from the Dems.
I agree. It seems to me that these people, majority of these people are getting contracts from ICE. They have not been vetted.
Yeah.
You know that because they're not wearing masks.
No,
and
you're
you
right.
would think, that someone would do something, that they would vet them.
Yeah, that's the best advice I could give you, my dear, but I really do appreciate your
Thanks,
call.
Kathy.
Thank you. A little bit of business to take care of here, by the way. First of all, new sponsor of the show. We're very appreciative to them. Bloody, what is it? No, it's not Slash. It's Dash, bloody-shirt.com. I got to get that right. They have protest apparel, visual ammunition to ridicule Trump and his supporters. Bloody Shirt is about freedom of speech without fear. They offer compelling designs on 100% cotton T-shirts at $45 and hoodies at $60, and all the proceeds will help fund the resistance. The Big Wussy is my favorite shirt, by the way. That's one of my personal favorites. I'm going to have to wear that one. And, of course, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, home of the $20 ribeye steak. How can you beat that? They haven't changed the price in at least 8 years. Comes with a side and vegetables, and they have great promotions as well at Jackson. So please check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. We are an independently owned radio show. What does that mean? Well, we rely on good people like you, like the people who have supported me on the YouTube Super Chat, made donations there. You've also made donations on pushingthelimits.live. We appreciate you. Kevin just made a donation on the Super Chat. He says he can only pardon himself for federal crimes, not state crimes. Kevin, you are absolutely 150% correct. That's why I say Jack Smith has something up his sleeve. And I agree with you, Kevin, 150%. So check out the website, pushingthelimits.live. Leonard, you become a household name on this show. So
It's been fun. Again, thank you for having me. Just real quick on the live chat.
Sure.
A lot of people are saying that that they really enjoyed the show. A lot of positive comments.
Well, that's good for a change.
Lots of thanks.
Well, I'm very appreciative to that. And without all the people out there that help support me and what we're doing here at Pushing the Limits, I would not be able to do what I do every day. So trust me when I say I'm very appreciative to all of you. Hey, very special guest on the show tomorrow. I listen to people that recommend guests. I reach out to those guests. One of them is Jesse Dollamore, who said he's a fan of what I do. He likes my content. I like his content. Jesse's great. He's a very popular YouTube creator, and he served as well. Jesse's fantastic. So the awesome Jesse Dollamore, will be joining us.
Should be a great show.
Yeah, on the show tomorrow. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, will be joining us on Friday. He seems to be joyful that Joe Biden is having cancer. You're damn right. I'm going to give him some pushback on that. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Leonard for being here. We will see you guys
Thanks for having
tomorrow.
me.
Same time, same place. Have a great day.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having way more fun. Hi. I'm Nicole Mitchell, and I'm a life coach. I help you get hotter and richer. If that is what you're looking for, you can find me at NicoleMitchell.com. My name, Nicole, is with a K, NicoleMitchell.com. You can reach out to me on my website or on Instagram, and I will be happy to be in touch and figure out what you're looking for and how I can support you in getting there.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of